According to a new report from Rolling Stone, Donald Trump, while he was president of the United States, was apparently so angry at Jimmy Kimmel's monologues and his jokes about Donald Trump that he would pepper into the monologues, that he actually forced his staffers to call Disney, the parent company of ABC that runs Kimmel's show, and beg them to somehow silence him, maybe punish him for telling jokes about the sitting president of the United States, which has been a staple of late-night television since forever. I mean, pretty much making fun of presidents is what comedians and late-night hosts and Saturday Night Live, that's what they've always done, regardless of the president's party affiliation. But Trump, being the most thin-skinned human being to ever exist, forced his staffers to place at least 2 phone calls into Disney to demand that they do something about Jimmy Kimmel and his horrible jokes about Donald Trump. Now, Republicans, for many, many years now, have accused social media of censoring Republicans. They're violating our free speech, they tell us. And here we had an actual sitting president forcing his staff to call up a private company to demand that they quite literally violate the First Amendment rights of an entertainer, because that is what Jimmy Kimmel is. He is an entertainer. And now, I just want you to think about that, because again, the Republicans have cried foul against Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all other outlets saying they're censoring us, they're violating our First Amendment rights. Nope, that's not a violation of First Amendment rights. What Trump did, however, could easily be construed as a violation of someone's First Amendment rights because he was the government. He wasn't a private company, shadow banning or whatever stupid thing Republicans want to claim that didn't actually happen. He was the government wanting somebody silenced because he didn't like what they were saying, even though they have a constitutional right to say those things. Now, if you're a regular viewer here at Fair and Balanced, you've also heard me talk about Jimmy Kimmel plenty of times. I actually just had a segment go up over the weekend talking about Jimmy Kimmel. And here's the thing. I always talk about how important it is for these late night hosts, whether it's Jimmy Kimmel or Stephen Colbert or Seth Meyers, how important it is for them to talk about these political stories because they're reaching an audience that may not otherwise be consuming political news. This story validates what I have been saying for many years now, because Trump understood how damaging it was. Not that Kimmel was making fun of him, but that Kimmel was even talking about these news issues to an audience that's not tuning in for news. They're tuning in to laugh. They're tuning in to be entertained. And they accidentally learned something as a result of it. That, as I have repeatedly said, is the power that these comics have. It's the power that Jon Stewart had with The Daily Show, with what he turned that program into. Let's not forget the first 2 years of The Daily Show when Jon Stewart was not hosting it. It didn't really cover news. They literally were like a Saturday Night Live weekend update 30-minute program. They made stuff up and it was funny. Stewart kind of changed that after a year or two. And it did become more political, still tons of jokes and mocking things, but it wasn't what it originally started out as. And now these other late night hosts, of course, have kind of picked up on that and they tell stories in the news and they make fun of it. But you're also learning something along the way. And that is what Donald Trump was so afraid of. He was so afraid of it, in fact, that this attack on Jimmy Kimmel was not actually the first time his administration attacked a late night host. The first time came in 2017 when his FCC commissioner, Ajit Pai, actually threatened to investigate Stephen Colbert for making fun of Donald Trump on his late night program. So this Kimmel incident was actually the second time his administration attempted to silence his critics in the corporate media because Trump couldn't stand what they were saying. So, as Republicans say, there's an attack on the First Amendment in the United States. You know what? There damn sure is. And the attack on that First Amendment appears to be solely coming from Republicans who cannot stand even the slightest bit of criticism. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet, so please don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.